everyone, welcome to Free Handling Me Day You, My Autistic Life. My name's Nisi, and you're with me in Big Sky, Montana. All right, so a couple weeks ago, my friend Claire from Woodshed Theory did a video on 10 things that she wished people knew about autism. And I commented on her said video and just praised her for that and told her, oh my gosh, okay, I'm totally not stealing your idea. I'm just going to hop on your train and do this too, because this is wonderful. So here are 10 things that I wish people knew about autism. And I'm going to use my fingers because I didn't write this stuff down. True to my executive functioning issues style. All right, number one, that is, I wish people knew that when we're invited to go somewhere, if I decide not to go, I'm going to say me because this is my experience. Everybody has different experiences. It's not because necessarily I don't want to go. More times than not, I want to go, but I physically feel like I cannot, or mentally feel like I cannot. And I love being invited to places. Sometimes I can go and I can be at said social event and be halfway through the event, and all of a sudden I feel the need to go home. And it's not because of anything that anybody did. It's because I have something going on in here in my head, and it affects my physical well-being, and sometimes I feel a panic attack coming on and I have to leave the room. And if I don't have a quiet room that I feel safe in to go to, I end up going home because my home is my safe place. It's also not because if said event has music or alcohol related, because, I'm going to be honest, Nisi likes a glass of wine every once in a while, especially huckleberry wine, you guys. It's delicious. And I don't mind having a glass. There's nothing wrong with having a glass. And as far as music goes, I have a hyper-focused, super interest in bluegrass music. However, I love all types of music. My friends from high school can definitely tell you that I used to wear MC Hammer rayon pants back in the day. And I used to do all those R&B and hip hop dances. I don't ask me to do them now because, the older you get, you lose your coolness. The dance moves you used to be able to do don't look right anymore. or if you're like me and you try to do the moonwalk in your early 40s and you end up falling and breaking or getting a hairline fracture in your elbow. True story, actually happened. My daughter will tell you. My youngest daughter could tell you. Anyway, so it's not because any of those things. Sometimes it's because I may not know a lot of the people that are going to be there, and I don't want to have to mask myself, and I don't want to be in a place where I'm going to feel really, really awkward because I don't know what to do with that. All I know is flight. I leave. If I feel awkward, I leave. Okay, so it's rule number one. It's not because I don't want to come. A lot of times I actually do want to go, but because of the issues that I deal with in my autistic neurodivergent brain, more times than not, I can't go. Even if my husband says he'll go with me, sometimes I can't go. All right. Number two, not all of us on the spectrum are introverts. There are many of us who are kind of in the middle. And then there are even some of us that are extroverts. So to say that all autistics are antisocial, and by the way, that's going to be my number 3 here in a minute, is just not true. Okay, so personal experience. I am kind of have a couple of toes in the middle. I'm mostly introvert, but when I feel like I have the energy and the mental ability to be social, I definitely want to dive in and be social. Now, for me, I end up having a time limit of how social I can be, and then I find that I have to leave the building. And it's hard to explain that to people. All right, so that's number 2. Not all of us are extreme introverts and don't want to be social. There's a lot of us that we crave relationships and we want to be social. A lot of times we just don't know how to, or we know how to, what we kind of need to do to be social, but we don't know how long we can handle being social. And for some people, they're so social, they don't realize that they have overstayed their welcome. Now, I am not in that category, but I have a friend that is in that category, and that's something that they struggle with. And they have no idea that they've overstayed their welcome and people are ready to move on, and they're still, jabbering away. But that's not me. I'm on the other end where you practically have to pull a conversation out of me. And that's no fun for the person who's wanting to be social with you. And I totally get it. Sometimes I can't help it. All right, so number 3, saying that all autistics are antisocial is a little bit, for me, I can only speak from my perspective, is a little offensive. Actually, I'm not going to say a little. I find it very offensive. And it gives a very negative connotation to it. I don't think I'm saying that word right. It's very negative. It gives very negative vibes. And frankly, it's just not true. It's 100% false. It is. All right. So, number 4. I wish people understood that executive functioning dysfunction is real. I struggle with executive functioning. I've struggled with executive functioning all of my life. Oh, I can look back. When I got my diagnosis, everything made sense. My poor parents couldn't understand why I couldn't keep my room clean. And then all of a sudden, I would have it so clean you could eat off the floor. Because it wasn't consistent and it didn't make sense. Now it makes sense. Executive functioning, for those of you who do not know what that is, that means the ability to see something that needs to be done, know and acknowledge it needs to be done, and then move and actually do what you need to do to get it done and see it all the way through. That's what executive functioning is. Okay, so with that said, I can literally be in a room and I can see something on the floor, and my brain says that doesn't belong on the floor. It needs to go in the trash. And then the very next second, I'm doing something else and I totally forgot that that thing was on the floor and needed to go in the trash. happens a lot. And also, I have in one of my when I was having one of my depression episodes, and I do go through them every once in a while. Some episodes are worse than others. I know I need to take a shower. I know I need to wash my hair. I know I need to brush my teeth. These are things you need to do. Hygiene's important. Nobody wants to smell you in a bad way. But I can't seem to make it into the shower. It's hard to explain how crippling that is. It's like your brain, it's like you tell your arm to move and you're trying to move your arm and your brain's saying, okay, move your arm, but you can't move your arm. Your arm stays still. Your arm does not move. That's what executive functioning dysfunction is. And we're not lazy. We're not. We like it when we get things done and we accomplish things. But it's like there's a disconnect in our brain from our brain and our body physically. And I would like y'all to know it's frustrating for us. So as much as I would like grace from others in that, and acknowledge that executive functioning disorder is real, I also need to give myself grace. And a lot of times I don't. A lot of times, unfortunately, I beat myself up because I'm like, I can't understand why I can't get my brain and my body to work like it's supposed to. And it's very frustrating for me. All right, so that was number 4. And just remind you guys, not everybody has the same experiences that are on the spectrum. When you meet one person with autism, you've only met one person with autism. It's just like when you meet one individual, you've only met that one individual. Everybody is different. Everybody. All right. So that was number 4. Number 5. And this one's very personal just for me. I can't speak for other people. That's my disclaimer. I wish people knew that the phrase, "you don't look autistic," is highly offensive to me. And I struggled with why that was so offensive and why it hurt my feelings so much. Because you would think that would be a positive, right? You're letting a person know, well, wow, you don't look autistic. I find it offensive because, one, it's offensive to others that are what they consider classic autistic, those that need 24-hour care. And 2, I think I find it offensive after really trying to figure out why. And number 5 is going to lead right into number 6. Is that I think in a way it makes me feel like someone is questioning my diagnosis and my condition and lessening the severity of the things that I go through. Now, that person doesn't realize they're offending me. They have no clue. You know what I mean? They're just like, a lot of people, when they find out that don't know me and haven't even gotten to know me, you know, maybe they're just wowed and shocked by it. You know what I mean? Like, wow, I never knew that about you. You know what I mean? They don't realize that it's hurt my feelings. Okay, so number 6, I wish people knew that my ability to tell someone verbally, physically, hey, you've hurt my feelings, is very difficult for me because I don't like speaking something until I know why it's affecting me the way it's affecting me. It is hard for me to articulate my feelings a lot. The reason it's hard for me to articulate my feelings is because I don't understand why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling in the first place. So how am I going to explain it to you when I don't even understand it my dang self? I struggle with this on a daily basis. I struggle with it in my home, at church. I struggle with it at work. I struggle with it on YouTube amongst my YouTube family. I struggle with it. So sometimes when someone's asking me how I feel about something, I can't give an answer and I come across very aloof. And it's not that I'm being aloof on purpose. It's not that I don't care. It's that I can't verbalize how I'm feeling and what's going on in my head because there's a disconnect. So a lot of times when I'm facing that situation, I'll either change the subject and avoid the question altogether, which is why some people, frankly, it's why I offend some people, because they feel like I'm ignoring their question and I'm not validating information they want to know. And I try not to do that because I realize after going through therapy that can come across as very rude. Sometimes I do it before I realize I do it, and then I have to go back and say, I am so sorry. I did not mean to avoid your question. And I hate to say this. I've had to say that a lot to a lot of people. Or what I do try to say, if I'm of mind and realizing what's going on with myself, what I will say is, hey, can I get back to you about that? I need to process that question first before I answer it. Um, and so that's what I try to do. Doesn't always work. And I've had to go back and say sorry to a lot of people lots of times. All right, so that was number 6. Number 7. Um, Avoidance. I wish people knew that for me, being on the spectrum, I have a fight or flight button. And my button tends to be stuck on flight because I don't deal with I do not deal with stressful situations. Let me rephrase that. There are some stressful situations I'm okay with. I don't deal with social stressful situation well at all. I run from it. I am very non-combative. I I'm uncomfortable talking about this right now. I can't even get the words out. I have high anxiety with some social dysfunctions that go on in a group dynamic. And so I will literally shut down as a protective move, and I will run away from said situation. So there are times when there might be something going on in a social setting that has upset people, and this happens. This has happened at church a couple of times at some of the churches we used to go to. I'm going to use this as an example. And I've literally just very quietly, very stealthily left the building because I didn't know how to verbally remove myself from the situation. And the situation really had nothing to do with me. It had totally something to do with something that somebody did, or it was something. And I didn't want to be a part of it. I have a hard time with that. Some people, well, actually, one of those people at that said church actually thought I was very flaky because I couldn't seem to pick a side of the fence I wanted to be on. I'm a very spirited person, very neutral. I show a lot of grace for others. And it's probably because personally, I have a hard time dealing with controversy. So I wish people would know it's not that I'm flaky, because I'm not flaky. Um, I am making a decision on what side of the fence I'm on, or whatever. And I am drawing my line in the sand. I'm just not doing it very clearly. And clearly my line in the sand and where I stand on a subject is that I don't like the negative energy and I'm leaving and I'm not going to be part of it. And that is an answer. It might not be the answer they want, but it's an answer. Anyway, so yes, it's not that I'm flaky and I can't choose sides. It's that I am so uncomfortable, and rather than fight and be involved in the negativity, I run the other direction and I remove myself from the environment. It's not that I don't care. It's just that I mentally and emotionally can't deal with it. One of the traits of autism that some of us possess is being an empath. In case you don't know what an empath is where you as an individual, your energy and how you're feeling mentally and emotionally and physically can be directly impacted by somebody else or by an event, which is why I can't watch natural disaster movies. I can't watch horror movies, and I can't watch movies that are like really super sad, like real life story, like movies, because they affect me and my health very greatly. It's almost as if it's actually physically happening to me when it's not. I didn't understand the whole empath thing until my therapy sessions that I had when I lived in Florida. Um, I couldn't understand why I couldn't be a strong enough person to not allow. I'm gonna give my Mr. Handsome an example. Why I would allow Mr. Handsome's negative energy day to affect me so badly. Why my day was completely dependent on what his mood was that day. And I had to go through many sessions of therapy to learn how to not allow that to affect me mentally. It's not that I don't care about my husband, I don't love my husband. It's just that having two people in a bad mood and depressed is not a good thing when you live together. So I've had to, and I need to find another therapist because I still haven't found one, you guys. And I have so many things I need help with, and I have no one to help me right now. Um, and I don't want to see the same therapist that my son's seeing. That's just weird to me. I need someone separate. So yeah, I wish people would know it's not. It's difficult. So I have to be really careful about the energies that I allow myself to be part of. And so I can remove myself from a situation where I'm feeling a lot of if it's really severe situation. Um, sometimes I can handle it, but sometimes I can't. And so I've been trying to learn, and I still need some more help with this, in being able to remove myself, but yet still show that I care, because I do truly care. Um, you there's a term every time. I used to always. I'm still scared to fly. I hate planes. But Mr. Hanson told me one time that what the therapy that I was going through is an example of the airplane theory. The airplane theory is you can't help someone else until you put your own face mask on. You know, like when the plane's going down and the little oxygen things come down from the thing. Um, and that's what I'm trying to get at. So, um, yeah. So I'm having to learn how to um, show I still really care and try and be there for that person, but I may have to be there for that person behind the scenes in a different way than what's typical because I'm an empath and things affect me really badly, very easily. I can walk into a room, literally walk right into the room, and I can tell you the energy of the room. It can be very unsettling sometimes, especially if the feeling of the room is not good. So, oh, number 7, things that I wish people knew. I wish people knew that sensory overload is real. Um, and it can be paralyzing and keep you from being able to do things you need to do, especially if you have to, take care of like grocery shopping and stuff like that. Or keep you from having or going to some fun events. or understand why I may be wearing noise canceling earplugs in my ears at church. I have many sensory issues. I have very sensitive senses, all five. Actually, there's 7 senses. I did a video on it earlier, and I'll plug the link to the video in the description of this video when I'm done. But one of them is my hearing, auditory sensory disorder, meaning, you know how you're in a room and there's a lot of people talking. There's like little groups of people in the room. They're all talking they're all having their own conversations at the same time. I can't handle that very well. It physically hurts my ears. Also talking on the phone. I struggle with talking on the phone with my family and my friends. I hate talking on the phone. It's not the conversation I hate. The frequency of the phone changes your voice. And there's like a frequency sound in the phone that literally hurts my ears. I have to turn my phone volume way down to be able to handle any conversations that happen through my cell phone, because my cell phone has this frequency that most other people can't hear that I can, and it really hurts my ears, and so I prefer to text message. So I wish people knew that sensory processing disorder is real. You can have sensory processing disorder and not even be autistic. It's a real thing across the board. You can have ADHD and not have autism and still have sensory processing disorder. 8. I wish people knew that autism comes in all shapes and sizes. It does not discriminate. I forgot what number 9 is. My brain. Hang on, I need to hydrate. Just remembered. See, all I needed was a drink of water. I wish people knew, for me, when people say everybody's a little autistic, that is offensive. When you say everybody has a little autism or everybody's a little autistic, you have totally diminished and downgraded and made light of those of us who have autism. There are so many struggles we have that we wouldn't wish on anybody. Anybody. Some of the things I deal with, I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. Yes. So, I've had a member of my family actually say that, and it made me cringe. And I had to address it. I mean, they didn't mean harm by it. They didn't realize what they were saying. And I needed to make sure they understood what they were saying and how it came across. So, I mean, things are good. I mean, they apologized afterwards. They just didn't realize the connotation they were putting when they said that. Yeah. Number 10, wish people knew that as an autistic, I sometimes struggle with understanding other people's opinions. And because I don't understand other people's opinions in many ways, a lot of times, I move past it. Unfortunately, I don't always try to understand. I can be very black and white mentally, thinking wise on lots and lots and lots and lots of things. I'm also a very literal person, and I don't always understand people's jokes, and I can get offended easily. And that's not that person's problem. That's my problem that I deal with. And so, and then I get reactions like, why you gotta be so literal? It was just a joke. Seriously, lighten up. It's not that I'm uptight. I'm not uptight. I'm actually a pretty laid back individual. It's just I'm a very literal person. There are things in the Bible that I don't understand, I don't get, because it's like that figurative, what do you call it? What is it? They create a picture, but it really doesn't mean what that picture is. It really means something else. There's a special word for it. A lot of it I don't get because I'm such a literal person. So like in the Bible, when it says that he gathered all the animals and they went into the boat 2 by 2, I literally believe that they went in the boat 2 by 2, 2 by 2. Anyway, it's not that we're closed-minded. It's not that we're intolerant. A lot of autistics are actually very tolerant people to a fault. We're so tolerant we don't realize someone's mistreating us. I've had that happen to me on the YouTube streets. I didn't realize someone was mistreating me until like 20 of y'all were like, Nisi, this person is not being nice to you. I had no idea. So it's just that we, a lot of things get lost in translation from the source to our brains. Anyway, we're not intolerant. We're not closed-minded. It's just we take things very literal, or let me say, I'm not going to say we. I take things very literal. Sometimes I miss really what's going on. I miss the social cues. I maybe miss an unwritten social rule. And sometimes I can be a little too, I guess what they call blunt. I can be very blunt and to the point where I've hurt someone's feelings. And so learning how to express my opinion has been and still is an ongoing journey. So because that is an uncomfortable area for me, if someone makes a comment on my Facebook page or Instagram or on my YouTube video, or maybe they make a comment from a comment I made on somebody else's video, and I don't respond to said comment, I didn't ignore the comment. I read the comment, but because I don't know how to address it, I choose not to say anything. I just scroll on and move on with my life and hope for the best. My Gigi always taught me sometimes it's best just not to say anything at all. And I always remember that. And because I know I struggle in said area, especially if I have a really strong opinion about something, and I know that I'm going to come across as being rash, or I might even come across as being hateful for all I know, I choose not to say anything at all. And I'll still talk to that person. I do. I just chalk it up to, okay, everyone has an opinion and that's their opinion, but I can still talk to this person. And I don't always understand why people can't do that. For me, it seems like a simple solution, but it's more complicated than that, is what I've been told from Mr. Handsome. And so, I've had to learn how to just accept that, that not everybody can just move on and still disagree with someone, but still talk to that person. Some people can't do that. And it is what it is. So that's number 10. Maybe something I said, hopefully in this video, resonated with you, or maybe it gave you some clearer insight or some clearer understanding. That is the hope. It's definitely not to stir up controversy. It's just 10 things I wish people knew about autism. And thank you, Claire, for allowing me and being excited for me to also do this video. Claire has definitely been a really good source of information for me to go to. She was late diagnosed as well as, and so she kind of understands the journey that others have gone to who were very late diagnosed into their adult years. And it's just nice to know that you're not alone and somebody else has gone through some of the things that you have gone through. And you get to learn how they've been dealing with it, or that they've overcome a challenge. Um, and and it's really nice to see a different perspective as well from a peer who has the same diagnosis as you and has experienced the same things that you've experienced. So I say all that to say that if you don't know who Claire is, you're missing out. And you need to go over to her channel. And by the way, I think most of you are starting to learn a lot about Claire, though, because I've shared a lot of things about Claire a lot on my channel. She is a fiber artist. Yes, she is. She crochets and she uses her knitting machine, and she loves all things yarn, especially animal fiber yarns. And the girl, just like Kim from Affordably Crafty, that girl knows how to find a bargain in a thrift store. Gosh, I wish we had the thrift store that you guys have. She has this one store she goes to called Savers. I've never been to a Savers, never heard of Savers, but she has gotten some good deals at that store. And she's also gotten good deals through the Goodwill auction. She bid on an auction, and she got like all these really cool yarns. Yeah, and she talks about autism, but she also talks about her special interests, which are yarn, crochet. She does furniture restoration. She's very naturally talented at furniture restoration. She just posted a video of her restoring these 2 nightstands. They were very shabby looking when she got them out of a thrift store. They were structurally, they were in good shape. They just didn't look great. You know what I mean? They were old. And she turned them into beautiful pieces of furniture. Anyway, so yeah, go check Clara out. Wait, I forgot. Little Man had one he wanted to share with you guys. Almost forgot. Little Man wanted to share from a kid's perspective that he wished people knew that that he, being on the autism spectrum, when he's enjoying one of his special interests, he gets very, very hyper focused, and it's very hard for him to transition from doing that and doing something he needs to do. And that he wished people would be more patient with him in that regard, and they would make sure that they did get his attention so he could hear, and that they would give him at least 5 minutes to transition from what he was doing to what he needs to do. I think some of that has to do with home, with Mr. Handsome. I give Little Man a lot more leeway than Mr. Handsome does. But he deals with it at school too a lot. Anyway, so he wanted to plug that in and share it with you guys. It's not often that my son shares things in my videos. I had to just pass on his message to you. All right, for real this time, you guys, I'm going now. Bye, everybody. As I said, always remember, dare to be you, dare to be different. Love from Montana.